We are coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. This is Prime News on SABC 3, and here's what's dominating in your leads at this hour. The IEC has undertaken to increase voter participation through its voter registration weekend, which is taking place on the 20th and the 21st of June this year. Tensions escalated as the Madlanga Commission chair and Karim's lawyer clashed over pre-judgment claims regarding the postponement. And the escalating conflict involving the United States, Israel and Iran is sending shockwaves through global energy markets. We'll bring you the world in focus right here on Prime News on SABC 3, where the story takes center stage. A very good evening to you. I am Beki Mutumombolete, and I will be guiding you through the day's biggest events that impact our world. Let's get straight into your leads, and here they are. The IEC has undertaken to increase voter participation through its voter registration weekend taking place on the 20th and the 21st of June this year. The electoral body briefed the media on its preparedness and the important components of the Electoral Commission's electoral program for the next local government elections. The Commission expects the Minister of Gauteng, Gauteng, to proclaim an election date soon.
The Electoral Commission hereby announces a voter registration weekend on 20 and 21st June 2026.
A commitment by the Electoral Commission that voter registration will take place in 3 months' time. The Commission has improved its systems by introducing new technology when it comes to its voter management devices. The Commission reiterated that the announcement of an election date could be imminent, as revealed by Gauteng Minister Edenvale earlier. It's widely expected that the local government elections will be held between November this year and January 2027.
Period is not a optimal period to have an election because of some of the reasons that you have articulated yourselves. Firstly, the holiday season in December, the exams in November and January, when people are coming back from holiday and so on. So the minister has to exercise his mind and find the less disruptive date within those difficulties that are outlined.
100 parties have registered with the IEC, and more than 100,000 candidates are expected to contest 10,000 municipal seats. The numbers are a concern for the electoral body.
Concerned with the length of the ballot and what it does to a voter.
The proclamation of the election date will activate the election timetable, which includes the cessation of by-elections, certification and publication of the voters' roll, inspection of the voters' roll and lodging of objections, amongst other things. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Centurion.
Next up, tensions reached their peak as retired Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga and Suleiman Karim's lawyer, Advocate Rafik Bana SC, clashed over pre-judgment claims regarding the postponement. Karim's lawyers attempted to launch a postponement after they were served with additional documents at 6 a.m. before the continuation of Karim's testimony. Despite their plea and the palpable tensions between the Commission and Karim's legal team, the evidence continued.
As tensions between Suleiman Karim's lawyers and the Madlanga Commission were seemingly waning, they were reignited again after Karim's lawyers raised issues of prejudice and fairness after they were served with additional documents at 6 a.m. prior to the continuation of Karim's evidence. Karim's legal team sought yet another postponement, but a remark made by Advocate Bana SC of prejudging the issue to Chairperson retired Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, which has since been withdrawn, sparked a heated exchange between the pair.
Engaging counsel has nothing to do with matters being prejudged, and you know that. I take very strong exception to that attitude.
I don't think...
In fact, I find it unprofessional for you to say that I have prejudged issues purely because I'm engaging you. I take strong exception to that.
I don't think that you should take exception. And
I do.
Can I respond, Chair? What you put to me was that you weren't going to allow an opportunity for the postponement application.
I did not. I did not say I am not. I never said so. We can play back the tape. We can play back the recording.
Then I was mistaken.
So that is, I can actually, to be rough, I can say you are lying.
Despite the back and forth, Karim was unable to escape his time on the bench. Following consultations, he returned to the stand, where Chief Evidence Leader Advocate Matthew Chaskerson SC continued to test the relationship between alleged tender kingpin Morgan Maumela and Karim. This as there are several instances when Madlanga channeled money to Maumela through Karim. And Madlanga sent screenshots of his communications with Karim to Maumela.
I have no idea. It's the first time I'm seeing this. I don't know why I would take my chats and pass them over to Mr. Maumela.
Meanwhile, the transactions Karim wanted more time to answer to came into focus, where it appears that Karim may have allegedly concealed or omitted from his version money flows that are revealed in bank statements before the probe, raising concerns about Karim's version that the money he poured into the SABC Medicare contract of Kat Madlanga was merely a loan. The hearings continue with the evidence of suspended SABC component head for organized crime, Major General Richard Shabiri, on Wednesday. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Pretoria.
Meanwhile, a senior South African Police Service official believes that Police Minister who has been placed on special leave, Senzo Mchunu, overreached in his decision to disband the Political Killings Task Team. Lieutenant General Hilda Sentumule, appearing before the ad hoc committee, says that no harm would have been done if there had been consultation on the matter.
Lieutenant General Hilda Sentumule has become known as the SAPS officer who had a Brazilian butt lift allegedly paid for by Kat Madlanga. Sentumule says she has no problem acknowledging that she had the procedure done.
Stand up. People have been dying to see this BBL. They were expecting Tebogo Tobejane, Faith Nketsi.
What she has a problem with, however, is the allegations spread by her colleague, suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya, that the procedure was paid for by Madlanga, a claim he stated under oath at the Madlanga Commission. She says Sibiya's testimony has brought her integrity into question.
Is that it was said under oath by a senior official of the South African Police Services.
Sentumule says she is currently pursuing legal action against Sibiya for his remarks. On the issue of the handling of the Political Killings Task Team dockets, said everyone in the entire value chain made an error in judgment in leaving KZN top cop Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi out of the process. When asked if she thought there was political interference in the decision to disband the PKTT, this was her response.
The minister had an obligation to call a meeting, whether with the IMC or with the substance management involved in such matters. And then there was a discussion. But he could not sit alone and then make those decisions.
Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
After the break, police have arrested 5 suspects in Limpopo in connection with the alleged insurance killings and fraud case linked to former police officer Rachel Kutumela. We bring you more when we return. You are back with Prime News on SABC3. In your international affairs, the escalating conflict involving the United States, Israel and Iran is sending shockwaves through global energy markets. With the vital Strait of Hormuz disrupted, analysts warn that oil and gas supplies could remain unstable even if the fighting ends.
We're also going to see higher prices in things like airfares. So travel will become more expensive. And then we also have to worry about the second order effects on things like the equity markets. So if people's stock portfolios are going down, their 401ks are less valuable than before, we're going to lose consumer confidence and maybe even business spending. That points us in the direction toward a possible recession.
We urge the international community to use all its capacity to make sure that these attacks on our sovereignty here in Qatar and in the region stop immediately. And we rebuke any justification that the Iranians are offering for these attacks.
On some countries, we're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed.
And shifting our focus to back home, police have arrested 5 suspects in Polokwane and Muleji in Limpopo in connection with alleged insurance killings and fraud case linked to former police officer Rachel Gutumela. The latest arrest brings the total number of suspects in the alleged syndicate to 10. This after another suspect was taken into custody yesterday. Gutumela, together with her daughter, sister and brother, were arrested between 2024 and 2025.
Police have arrested a school principal, 2 siblings, their cousin, and a sangoma in Muleji following investigations of alleged insurance syndicate. The 6th alleged accomplice was arrested on Monday. They are accused of orchestrating a series of crimes in which insurance policies were allegedly taken out in the names of vulnerable individuals shortly before their deaths.
We do believe that this was quite a large syndicate that was working in cahoots to murder people, to benefit from insurance payouts like your life and your funeral policies and so on. So we do believe that we've got overwhelming evidence against them. I think this particular investigation started as far back as 2024 when we effected the first arrest of the former police sergeant who was dismissed shortly after her arrest.
The new suspects will join former police sergeant Rachel Gutumela, her sister Anna Shokani, her daughter Flora Shokani, and her brother Johannes Shokani as accused in the matter. They allegedly pocketed over 10 million rand in insurance payout from the killings of 9 victims.
So we do believe that we have rounded up everyone that was involved in this insurance murder payout scheme. We do believe that each of them have benefited from more than 10 million rand, where 10 bodies, for now we can only count 10 bodies, but we do believe that we've saved more lives. We do know that they had insured more people.
The suspects will appear in the Polokwane Magistrate Court on Wednesday, facing charges including 10 counts of murder. Amkoke Jomota, SABC News, Polokwane.
Now on to this. 2 firefighters from a private firefighting company have been injured whilst attending to a fire incident at a motor spares shop in Edenvale, east of Johannesburg. The cause of the fire is not yet known at this stage. The firefighters have managed to put out the fire, and investigations are underway to determine the exact cause of the blaze.
A thick smoke could be seen rising from the shop's rooftop while firefighters battle to contain the fire. Egoruleni Emergency Services says swift response by its team ensured that the blaze is contained and eventually put down.
We identified the smoke emission from a distance, and the fire station is just a street away, and the guys managed to respond immediately without anybody calling for us to come out.
Tladi says all the employees of the motor spares shop were evacuated and escaped unharmed. However, 2 private firefighters sustained injuries as they battled the blaze and were rushed to hospital for medical care.
Only injuries that we can account for is for those private firefighters who were operating from the other side of the burning structure.
Firefighters say it was extremely difficult to extinguish the blaze due to the flammable liquids inside the shop.
It was quite a high risk and significant risk, and as we could not enter to the point of entry because of the flammable liquids that was stored near the door.
An employee who spoke to SABC News on condition of anonymity says they managed to escape the fire by running to an exit point when the flames started raging. Calvin Dludla, SABC News, Edenvale.
When we return, President Ramaphosa says that South Africa and Brazil are not simply trading partners, but fellow architects of a more equitable international order. We will be back with you shortly. Thank you for staying with us. The South African economy recorded a growth of 1.1% in 2025, which is more than double the result posted in the previous year. According to Stats SA, this marks the strongest annual GDP growth since 2022. On a quarterly basis, the economy expanded by 0.4% in the fourth quarter, after a downwardly revised 0.3% increase in the third quarter.
According to Statistician General Rusenga Maluleke, the increase in economic activity in the fourth quarter of last year was largely driven by finance, reflecting a continued recovery from the impact of COVID-19.
But of course, when we look at our economy, growing at 0.4%, growing at 0.6%, and growing at 1.1% should not send a lot of excitement out there in the public, because such growths will not be able to contain the joblessness that we see in our country.
Analysts note, however, that despite the growth, challenges remain.
A breakdown of the GDP data indicates that the increase was not broad-based. The finance sector made the largest contribution, adding 0.3 percentage points to the headline reading on the back of growth of 1.4%.
Economists expect the growth momentum to continue, potentially approaching 2% by 2028, supported by structural reforms, although global risks remain. SABC News, Pretoria.
The Gauteng MEC for Finance and Economic Development, Lebogang Maile, has tabled a 179 billion rand provincial budget aimed at meeting various service delivery needs in the province in the 2026-27 financial year.
In the 2026 MTEF, total budget of 36.4 billion is allocated for the infrastructure program. Of this allocation, 26.2 billion is from conditional grants and 10.2 billion from the provincial equitable share. Departments of Health, Education, Human Settlement and Roads and Transport and Education receives an allocation of 34.4 billion, whilst the Department of Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation, Infrastructure Development and Economic Development, Social Development, Agriculture and Environment receives a total funding of 2.1 billion.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says that South Africa and Brazil are not simply trading partners, but fellow architects of a more equitable international order. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva hosted Ramaphosa on a historic state visit in Brasilia.
South Africa is positioning itself as Brazil's gateway into the African market under the African Continental Free Trade Area. President Ramaphosa says the two giants are strategic partners.
We have consistently championed the view that the rules governing global trade and investment must be made more fair, more inclusive, and more responsive to the challenges that our countries are facing, particularly our countries in the global south.
Our partnership is not accidental. It is forged in a shared purpose, and as the global order faces a moment of reform and renewal, our traveling together in this journey is not merely as participants in a system, but as co-architects of a more inclusive and balanced future.
The two countries have agreed to reduce trade friction by boosting cooperation on trade remedies and resolving non-tariff constraints affecting priority products. Kyle Kumalo, SABC News, Johannesburg.
It is now time for us to take a look at what is brewing under our southern skies. Our team has all the details, and your forecast is up next.
Good evening to you. Let's take a look at all your weather details. Partly cloudy skies in the Northern Cape and Western Cape this evening. Southeasters up to about 30 kilometers an hour along the Cape Peninsula, but wind speeds up to 40 kilometers an hour for the Eastern Cape coastline. Some isolated showers in northern KwaZulu-Natal across the border in towards Mozambique, and some showers in the northern areas of Limpopo this evening as well. Ahead towards tomorrow in the middle of the week brings with it some partly cloudy skies in Gauteng and in Mpumalanga. Isolated showers along the northern and eastern parts of our borders in towards neighbouring countries, whilst Durban is expecting a partly cloudy day, but sunnier conditions are expected through the Eastern Cape. Be on the lookout for wind speeds up to 50 kilometres an hour along the Eastern Cape coastline tomorrow. Another warm day in store for the Western Cape under sunny conditions now, whilst partly cloudy skies dominate the Northern Cape. Dropping to about 20 degrees overnight in Uppington, Cape Town down to 24, Gqeberha 18 this evening, Durban 19, Johannesburg dropping to an autumn feeling 12 degrees, warming up tomorrow to a maximum of 24. 22 is expected in Polokwane, whilst mid-30s are possible in Uppington at 34. Calvinia up to 37, still very hot along the west coast of South Africa. Vredendal 44, Springbok up to about 36 with Cape Town up to a scorching 41 through the afternoon sunshine tomorrow. Gqeberha up to 27, East London expecting windy conditions on Wednesday up to a maximum of 28 degrees, and Bloemfontein up to 28 in the Free State as well. That's it from me. Have a great evening ahead.
That is all we have for you this evening. We thank you for your audience and leave you with a promise of more to come tomorrow evening. Until then, from myself, Becky, and the team, stay blessed. Good night.